Hey everyone, I know, special upload today. It's a Monday. I thought it was really important to do this video because today is May 28th, which is World Menstrual Hygiene Day. Such an important day in the calendar, especially for those of us in the field of menstrual health management and advocacy in terms of addressing issues around period poverty and menstrual health management. This year's theme is empowerment, and we all know that without empowerment, girls and women are not able to progress at all in life. So for this video, I wanted to say 5 things that you need to know about menstrual hygiene in Kenya. So number 1 is that most countries still consider menstrual hygiene products a luxury, which is ridiculous because it's a need. But in many parts of the world, you find that sanitary pads are sold at such an expensive price that a lot of women and girls who are living below the poverty line, who don't have access to enough funding, are unable to use them. And this is what can be described as period poverty. And in countries such as Scotland, the US, India, Kenya, just to name a few, a lot of these countries now, governments are trying to work hard to make sure that the products are no longer considered luxury. It's a good first step, but we really need the implementation to happen, because as long as they are considered a luxury item, then it means that a majority of women and girls do not have access to them during the time of the month. Number 2 kind of follows through with number 1, which is that a lot of girls miss school because they don't have access to menstrual products. So you'll find that in Kenya, for example, I believe the statistic is now at about 2 million girls who do not have access to sanitary pads and therefore miss out on school. I know that recently the government distributed tons and tons of pads to girls in different counties. It's a great initiative, it's a great intervention, because it now means that thousands more girls have access to them. But again, it's a very stopgap measure. We don't have anything very sustainable. Some of these products will only last them a year. So they'll be in school for a year, and then what? So you find that as long as there's no sustainability, or as long as sanitary pads are not free, for example, girls will continue to miss school. They'll miss out on almost a month of school in an entire year because they don't have access to menstrual products. So that's something that we need to address. I know that there's a sanitary pads bill that President Kenyatta signed into law. We need the implementation to happen so that girls are able to get an exercise book and a pad at the same time. And globally as well, I know countries such as Scotland are pushing towards availing sanitary products across the board for girls and women to access them. Number 3 is that girls are now having their period as young as the age of 8. It's not to say that it's never happened before or hasn't happened in history, but we're having girls starting their menstruation so much younger, and unfortunately the information that they need, the tools to equip them with coping with that transition, isn't reaching them until they're about 13. So adolescent health education needs to start much earlier now, because you'll find that girls in class 3 or 4 are starting their period and they don't have the information to help them cope with it. So it's heartbreaking. I personally started at the age of 10, and when I started, my mother was shocked because I think she thought it would be another 3 years before she would have to have the talk with me. And so suddenly she found herself having to explain all this in a very quick amount of time. I was pretty traumatized because I had no idea what was happening to my body. And so we need to really, really focus on these young girls who don't have access to the right information. So if you have a niece, a sister, a cousin, start talking to her early, give her the right information, equip her with the right information. And remember, a lot of this information I'm going to link below. There's some links that have really great information on adolescent health and menstruation. So talk to these girls, because you never know, they may start their period pretty soon. Number 4 is that most girls and women in Kenya use disposable pads during their monthly period. 46% of women interviewed in a research document, and girls as well, used disposable pads, with only 6% using reusable pads and 7% relying on old cloths, pieces of blanket, chicken feathers, mud, and even newspapers. This is from a report that was partly published by the Ministry of Health in 2016. I know that I get a lot of questions about my Inuadada Foundation distributing disposable pads. That's because a majority of women, as you can see from that report, use disposable pads. However, there's reusable pads and there's even menstrual cups. The truth is that it would be great if there's extensive research done on the benefits of using these products and even on the health issues around them. Because personally, I feel like as long as a girl has access to a sanitary pad keeping her in school, that's amazing. However, the ministry doesn't recognize reusable pads as part of their program, and so in the meantime, it's easier for me to align with them and use disposable pads. But if you guys have information on reusable pads and menstrual cups. And if you know of girls who have benefited, that's amazing. Keep supporting those programs. For Inua Dada, we will eventually, if we are able to align with the right people, get to that place. But most girls and women in Kenya use disposable pads. And finally, you can help. Find an organization that is supporting girls and women around menstrual health management, whether it's my own, inuadadafoundation.org, or the countless others which you can find online. Plug in, learn about the conversation, be a part of the conversation and a part of the solution. Right now, we need to drive for the implementation of policy, and we also need to find sustainable ways to keep these girls in school longer, also finding ways in which their communities can be supported. So I'm very passionate about menstrual health management and period poverty. We need to come together. You know, some people may see it as a trendy issue because everyone's doing it. But believe me, guys, around the world, periods are really disrupting the lives of girls and women when it shouldn't be a disruption. It should be just a transition. And so plug into the conversation and do your bit. So thank you for watching. Like this video if you like the information, share it as well, and let's keep talking about menstruation so that we can break the taboo of not talking about menstruation. Okay guys, happy Menstrual Hygiene Day. It's a great time to be a woman, and have yourself a fantastic Monday.